Hello, my beautiful pile fours. If you guys chose the Medicine Guardian, this is your reading about what parental connection you need to heal in order to manifest your true bliss in life, whether that be love, whether that be abundance in money, whether that be the dream job or career that you choose, however it applies to your life. Please keep in mind that whenever I say father or I say mother or grandmother or grandfather, I don't want you to feel as if I'm trying to, associate only masculine energy with the father or mother energy with the female mother. Because, I realize that I'm talking about family dynamics that could be individual different for every individual. It could be that the father played mother as well, or the mother played father as well, or, the grandparents were the only parents that, some people ever knew. So this particular pile here that I'm holding is definitely one as far as like grandparents energy. Um, and we're going to get into that in a second. But I want to start off with your tiny Buddha message. And your message is on page 102 in the book. And so, like I said in the other group videos, you have, I just used random psychic tarot oracle cards, like 4 of them from off the top of the deck. And so far, Spirit's been having me read all of them, and they've been resonating with the excerpt from the book. So, the psychic tarot card you guys got was Find Balance, which is the 2 of Pentacles in traditional tarot. And what that's talking about is finding a balance between home and work. And it could just mean you're just trying to establish balance in any area of your life. It doesn't have to particularly be home or work. It could be in any area of your life, whether it be something so individual and personal as your spirituality or whatever. So take that as it resonates. So the excerpt is titled Let Go of the Need for Approval by Sasha Crouch. The quote by Aristotle she used, it says, criticism is something you can easily avoid by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. So basically with this right here, it's like, as long as you're not doing anything at all, you don't have to worry about being criticized. But the moment you breathe, the moment you open your mouth and talk, we live in a society where criticism is ever so rampant. And I feel like with this quote she's using, with expressing let go of the need for approval, is regardless if you're living a saintly, perfect life or if you're living a sinful, hellish life, whatever, whatever way you're living your life, there's always going to be a critic somewhere being like, oh, they shouldn't do that. Oh, they shouldn't say that. Oh, they shouldn't wear that. Oh, they shouldn't talk like that, or, act like that. It's not becoming of them, or whatever, So there's going to always be that there. But when the need for approval becomes stronger than being who you are, it can get pretty hellish, and you can start receiving blocks, and receiving toxic people in that way. But the excerpt reads, the need for approval kills freedom. Trust me, I know, because I spent my entire life seeking approval until I realized it was a waste of time and didn't work anyway. My desire to get people to like me was the motivation behind the majority of my choices and actions in my early life. Queen of the social chameleons, I mastered the art of telling people what they wanted to hear and being someone they would find impressive. All the while worrying incessantly about what others thought of me, fearing criticism, and holding myself back as a result. When I first started building my coaching business, this craving for acceptance caused me to hide from opportunities where the potential for reward was high, but the possibility for criticism was equally as large. As an example, one of my first client referrals was to coach the CEO of a major corporation. It's painful to admit that I told my client I wasn't the right person for the job and referred them to someone else. My need for approval created immense anxiety about the value I provided for my clients and caused me to spend too much time on task in order to perfect them. It got to the point where I was wasting so much time and losing so many opportunities that I had to make a big decision: either let the business go or learn how to get over myself. Fortunately, I chose the latter. I created a plan to learn to let go of needing others' approval, well, at least letting go enough that it would no longer sabotage my success. Here I am, 7 years later, running the same business with much greater ease and success as a result. So, for some of you, before even getting into the cards, I feel like um, this grandparent energy um, was very old fashioned, or grandparents' energy, if they both were alive and were raising you. I feel that they held you to a high standard, and they were very old school in how they communicated with you and how they dealt with you. And in some aspects, it kind of created this sheltered, approval-based lifestyle for you. Um, when you did good, they rewarded you with good. When you did bad, they punished you. Like, it was just very black and white with how they raised you, which is why you have the fine balance card here as well. Um, I feel that you also had another set of grandparents that were just like super hippie, off the beaten path, and it's like you guys wanted more structure, and that desire for extreme structure or for any structure at all was kind of um, not meant by you in your childhood. So it's like now you guys look for the approval, um, look for the censuring to happen in your adulthood that you didn't receive in your childhood, because you have this like carefree energy about you that people just don't understand, that you don't get. And so in you being in that carefree environment, that healthy, happy environment with the hippie grandparents, right? You had people start criticizing who you were as a person, because certain things that were normal to you are not normal in our society. So because of that, you guys kind of developed this need for approval in your adulthood, in your later adulthood, and not so much as your childhood. And it's vice versa. You for the other part of this group, that you guys were so sheltered, and you guys were raised with rewards and punishments style, you know, that you guys developed your need for approval at a very young age. So a little bit harder to break that pattern. So you guys actually got 4 different cards here to describe what your grandparent or grandparents were like. So I think this first set of grandparents is more so the energy of the consequences of your actions, the more stricter grandparents, okay? Because you have protection guardian. So this is your grandmother, or more of a feminine energy. It says drop your shields. Then you have medicine guardian here, and it says be open to healing information. So with this here, I feel like the grandfather could have been a nurse or a doctor of some sort, and your grandmother could have been involved in some form of law enforcement, or could have been the type to just be very protective over you and expected you to be held to a standard of truth, because you have the peacock feathers at the top of this woman's head, and an eye protruding out of her hand. So it's like kind of like with the eye in the hand reminds me of eyes in the back of her head. So like she could see whenever you were about to make a mistake, and she like kind of prevented you from experiencing that mistake by being like, you better not do that or you're going to be in trouble whenever you get home. Like, it was just kind of like that energy, like, and if you're thinking about doing that, I'm going to beat you for it. You're in trouble. So I feel like with this protection guardian here, you guys didn't really have to worry about being protected, because your grandparents had it covered, or your grandparent had it covered. With this medicine guardian here, I also feel like the energy could have also been vice versa as well. You know, the protection guardian could have been your grandfather, and the medicine guardian could have been your grandmother. Um, they both these energies give me like a very um, hardworking energy. You know, they fought to um, get to a place of abundance, and um, very wise and responsible with money. So it's like you didn't have to worry about being in a struggle space, okay? Not being in a survivalist mindset. So you have the second set of grandparents. You have the direction guardian, choose your path. So this grandfather or grandmother was more lax, and allowed you to be yourself, and allowed you, taught you the ways of the earth. So I'm assuming that this grandparent could have had some tribal influences within them. They could have been the type to be, um, they could have been the type to be very much so a salt of the earth type person, just more so grounded in the earth and more so into nature arts, you know, doing herbalism and finding natural remedies to things and teaching you that. You have drum here, dream and journey. So this grandfather or grandmother energy that raised you, or collectively that both of them raised you with, music was a very critical part of your childhood. They taught you the ways of music of nature, and you know, using the drums of spirit and everything, and teaching you how to communicate your words through music. So I'm feeling like this second group here, the second group of grandparents, the one that's more carefree and let you be you in all your fullness. I feel like they were also like nomads, like they were traveling musicians as well. um Being a little bit of more specific energy, but they definitely encouraged you to make the right decisions, but they wouldn't get mad at you whenever you didn't exactly choose the perfect decision or whatever that is. Like they allowed you to truly just be yourself and be who you were in your fullness. Now, particular scenarios, we have Page of Cups, we have King of Pentacles, we have the Empress, we have the Hermit, you have the Fool. Oh, turning into a major arcana thing here. You have Ace of Cups. Okay. You have Ten of Cups, and you have the Emperor. So from what I'm seeing right here, um, since this is two different groups of grandparents that we're talking about here, I feel like these cards are all separate here. I know some of you are confused about like the hippie grandparents being like, okay, if they allowed us to make our choices, then why are they showing up as something needing to be invented? You know, if they fully supported you. The issue is not with the second set of grandparents, the issue is not exactly anything that they did wrong. It's more so um, the lessons you had to learn later on in life, and there's a little bit of resentment towards them because you didn't feel like you were prepared for the way that the world was, the way that the world is as you perceive it now. So that's where some of that, but we're going to get to that in a second. Um, so we have Page of Cups clarified by the Empress. Then we have King of Pentacles clarified by the Hermit. So very cut and clear here. You have um, this energy of the grandmother being more masculine energy because she's clarified by the King of Pentacles, and you have Protection Guardian. So she was the authoritarian out of the first set of grandparents, the ones that were more strict. So she was the one that laid down the law and basically kind of isolated you to a certain extent. You have the hermit card here, clarifying her side of the tarot spread. So underneath her, the protection guardian, you have King of Pentacles and the Hermit. So um, she could have been an Earth sign, she could have been a Capricorn, Virgo, or a um, Taurus. And I feel that her energy was very grounded in the sense that she was no nonsense and that she was very much so the rock out of um, everybody else in the household. She was the one that kept everything together when things were beginning to fall apart. But because of her energy being kind of harsh the way it was in your childhood, and because she sheltered you and protected you from the ways of the world so much, she created you as like this introverted person, like this hermit. So she's the reason why you feel like I can't trust people. I'm better off being isolated to myself, doing my own self discovery thing versus immersing myself out into the world and into people. So, some of you guys, as a result of this, may have careers working from home versus being out in the general public. Some of you may be single as well. Um, and I feel like with your grandfather, some of you guys, another part of you in the group, your grandfather, who was a doctor or a nurse, had more of an effect on you. Because the medicine guardian is holding a cup, and the Princess of Cups, or the Page of Cups that's clarifying him, has created you to be this. I'm not offering you my cup of love because it's clear that I cannot trust you. It's clear that, you know, it's interesting that the medicine guardian is in all green, the color of the heart chakra. Then we have Page of Cups and the Empress. So, this grandfather energy helped you become the woman you are today, but it's also kind of made you look at people from an objective standpoint with this princess of cups here and how she's holding her hands over the cup and she's looking like, not today, you're not getting in this. You're not getting in this, you're not tapping into any of my cup. This is my personal cup. And so it's like people see you as this empress, they see you as this well-to-do woman, but you're so logical and so matter of fact and abrupt and black and white with everything because this is how your grandparents raised you to think of things in a black and white manner. Nothing needs to have emotion. Nothing needs to have emotion, in the middle of it. Nothing needs to be released from this cup for people to be able to better understand you on an emotional level, right? So with this, I feel like this is like some of the energy that you guys have pushed out into the world as a result of your grandparent connections first half of group 4. I'm just going to call you group 4A because the way that they split this up in two pieces here. But yeah, you guys in this pile, you guys had a little bit rougher whenever it came to your grandparents. Like, it was be here, be back home at 10 or 10 p.m. at night, by 10 o'clock at night, in that door by 10 o'clock at night, or else you're going to sleep outside in the barn, you're going to sleep outside in the back of a truck, you're going to sleep outside, period. We're not opening the door for you. It's good night and good flight at 10 o'clock at night. Not opening anything for you. So, with this King of Pentacles here, and the Hermit, they're drawing me back to this Hermit. This is you guys on the inside. Like, because of your connection with your grandmother, the protection guardian, the grandmother energy, some of you feel responsible for protecting other people and helping manage other people. And sometimes it's welcome and sometimes it's very unwelcomed. from the ones that you love. And so because of this, it's like you feel like you're misunderstood, and you feel like people don't pay attention to you or pay attention to your ideas or your thoughts. But what it truly is that life is not black and white, guys. Like group 4A, like life is not black and white like we think it is or that we feel that it is. It's very much so a um, complex, rainbow, fluid thing. And no, no, you don't chew that. No, 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 boy. Sorry. My puppy is trying to get rambunctious here. So, um, with this hermit here, it's like you'd rather be in isolation and trying to understand the complexities of life than to actually get out there and experience the complexities of life because you were sheltered and because of the guidelines that you were given as a child. So this is like the scenario for 4A, for some of you in 4A. The other half of you, it's like the grandfather taught you how to value yourself, but you guys have taken it to the extreme to where you won't even let anybody in emotionally or mentally because it's not black and white. It doesn't have a left and a right. It doesn't, you don't know when the beginnings, you know when the beginning is, but you don't know when the end is. And because you don't know when the end is, it doesn't fit the black and white thinking that you were raised with. So moving over to the hippie grandparents, you guys, like I said, you guys are kind of upset with your hippie grandparents. So you guys are group 4B. You guys were more so your grandparents allowed you to experience whatever, whenever, however. Um, Not to say they were just like reckless or completely carefree and didn't care about your well being at all. They did. It's just that they felt like it was healthier for you to learn your own boundaries and to establish your own boundaries. And in which you have. But sometimes because you're so giving and you share and you have that rainbow thinking that the other group lacks, is that sometimes you guys kind of see the world with rose colored glasses. And that's how sometimes people can enter into your life and take advantage of you. So it's nothing, like I said, that your grandparents did to you personally. Um, to cause harm. It's just that they allowed you to set your own boundaries and kind of raise yourself and child rear yourself to a certain extent, to the point to where you um you kind of had to learn what boundaries were in your adulthood, in the last parts of your adolescenthood into your adulthood. um you're still very much so carefree. Your grandfather kind of gave you the energy of the fool. Taught you to be open and honest, taught you to be one who takes risk, um, leaps and risk. Move, 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 move. Lift the man. Put it down. Put it down. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. But I'm sorry. With the fool here, I feel like your grandfather was the type that was like, you want to do that? Go do it. You know, if you were like, hey, I want to jump off this this 2-story house, and they'd be like, okay, go ahead and do it, see what happens. And you're like, it kind of like the way that they put that phrase, it's like it made them stop and be like, made you stop and be like, why? Why are you telling me that in that voice like that? Are you trying to warn me of something? Like something not very awesome will happen if I jump off of the second story of the house? And it's like they're like, I don't know. Go try it and see. I'm also seeing here with this full card here, there's crystals coming out of the ground too. Looks like clear quartz. So they kind of helped you develop this like clear intuition. So some of you in this group, you guys are very strongly spiritually gifted. Like you guys have very clear seeing, clear hearing, clear feeling. You guys are empaths in this particular group. And I feel that for you guys with the Fool here, in regards to your connection to your grandfather or the grandfather energy, you guys are very much so the type like, you know what, I'm going to jump off of this cliff, and if I land, awesome. If I don't make it, hell, at least I can say I did it. But because you were such a risk taker, you have developed plenty of emotional abundance with this Ten of Cups here. And it's like because your cup overflows, this is where you get those weird people that are like those energy vampires and emotional vampires that are like, you have so much left to give. Let me take it away from you. Let me steal off of you. Let me do this, X, Y, Z, and that. And then you have this Ace of Cups here underneath the drum. So your emotional stirrings, your emotional passions that you have, they stir based off of music. Because your grandmother was very moved by music. Like she would dance with you as a child to, you know, tribal music, to anything that moved you on the inside. Whatever moved you, she tried to produce more of that into the household. And it's like because you're this strong light, not saying it's a bad thing, you attract people that are of the dark as well, that are looking for that light, and because they don't feel like they have it within themselves, and you become a prime target for I'm starved, I'm thirsty, I need what you have. So to a certain extent, your grandmother also try to help you set your own emotional boundaries. I feel like this is Ace of Cups and the Emperor here. You needed to learn what emotional boundaries were, and it's like Spirit had to be the one to be the Emperor in this situation and kind of be like, okay, you got way too much flowy free going on. We're gonna have to. I need to show you some things so that way you can have a clear boundary set. So whenever Spirit came in and started showing you those lessons, those hard lessons of knowing what boundaries are, you kind of start developing a little bit of resentment towards your grandparents because of that. This for Group 4B, you guys started developing a little bit of resentment towards them because of that, because they didn't really exactly warn you, just straight up tell you that there were people that were going to manipulate you in life, that were going to be harmful, you know, with their words, with their actions in life. And, you know, they just kind of, you just, in some instances, you didn't feel prepared in life. For the emotional aspects of pain that you've had to experience and endure. Because you're so open and because you're so loving, people taking advantage of you. But I do see that even though they didn't teach you that, you still managed to learn it for yourself. And now we're going to look into how this affects you in your abundance. Okay, Spirit's telling me to leave these out here, so I'm going to leave them. Sorry, guys. Sorry, the ginger beer's got me picking up. So this is where 4A and 4 groups 4A and 4B come back together as one group 4. Okay. With your abundance blocks, right? Your money blocks. Yeah, visualize abundance in all forms. God gave you such great spiritual power that everything you visualize eventually becomes reality. Hold a steady vision of that which is beautiful, healthful, positive, and filled with blessing, and that is what you will experience. So with this, I feel like you guys are, you guys were sheltered, the ones that were sheltered on this side, you weren't really given the privilege to visualize what your abundance would look like because everything was so black and white. Whereas you guys that were raised by the hippie grandparents, it's not hard for you to visualize abundance in all forms. But because of the hardships you've experienced in life, that spirit gave to you to understand and learn how to set boundaries, it's hard for you to have that abundance that you keep visualizing and keep creating, but people keep taking from it and drawing it down to like where it's almost nothing. So giving from your own personal cup is kind of the message I'm getting for you, group 4B. You have declutter. So I feel this is more so group 4Bs. Grandparents, you guys had grandparents that kind of hoarded. They hoarded things. They didn't really stress that when you become an adult, you need to know how to clean, you need to know how to cook, you need to know how to survive, in that sense. So it's like you guys in 4B, you may not be the most tidiest person in the world. So it kind of messes with your abundance because your home and feng shui is the source of your foundation. Is the foundation for everything that happens in your life, is the foundation for the things you attract or repel in life. So if your house is cluttered, and you guys have no idea how to organize or clean your home, you need to hire a cleaning crew or somebody that can help you figure out how to, or a company that specifically caters to organization, like organizing your personal things. Some of you need to experience what decluttering your physical space feels like for yourself by doing that for yourself. You also, some of you tend to book yourselves up to the point to where you end up having to be very irresponsible with your time, because with the declutter card here, it says you'll feel better and more focused if you'll take the time to clear away clutter from your living and workspace. Donate what you can to help others who may need your items. Be sure to keep your schedule uncluttered as well. So with you guys on the left over here, now with you guys on the left here, no Osiris, lay. I'm sorry. Lay. Lay down. Excuse me just one moment. Osiris. Sorry, I thought I closed the door all the way, and apparently I didn't. He went in there and started messing with my old lady puppy. Um, so with declutter on your side, group 4A, the one with the stricter grandparents, you guys were kept busy all the time to where you can even think or dream of getting in trouble. So y'all were raised to be like, if you're not busy, you're wasting your time. If you're not doing critical work to help the world or to help yourself, you're wasting your time. Then just being at times, you were doing something for yourself. Just being and just allowing yourself to experience peace, allowed you to do that. Allowed you to do something for yourself. And so I feel like with my kitchen. I feel like with declutter, I feel like it applies to both of you guys. It's like where you guys could learn something from each other. So if group 4B were to get into a partnership with group 4A, you guys would be able to help each other balance things out, which is why you guys got the balance card, which is hilarious. find balance. So maybe you guys being separated into two different groups is allowing you guys to understand what you need to be looking for in a mate to help you balance out and to help you heal certain things. You have, and I'll get back into that concept, interesting concept in a minute. So employment change. This strictly landed on the hippie grandparent side, 4B. Employment change. It says your career path is your career path is leading you in a higher direction with positive changes to support your dreams, priorities, passions, and life purpose. Trust that these changes will help you release the old and welcome the new. You are being supported each step of the way. So, Group 4B, you guys have had the misfortune of being so freely raised, I guess you could say, to the point, and it's not a judgment. Please don't take the way you were raised, me saying that you were raised, as a judgment. It's not a judgment. Everybody has their own contracts that they sign, so I'm not bashing your grandparents. I think it's a beautiful way that they raised you. You know, you guys just had to learn things later in life versus sooner, like some other people, which is the only thing that really sucks about all of that. You guys have, because of this connection with your grandparents, Group 4B, you guys have gone through various employment changes, have gone through various moments in the. Hey! Yeah, chill out. You guys have gone through various employment changes, and it's like you don't feel satisfied in one space because part of that pattern, and here's where another aspect of it, the way you're raised affects you. That nomadic energy, constantly feeling like a pioneer, constantly wanting and desiring that new and exciting thing instead of firmly planting your roots in something that you truly feel passionate or you love. You guys, every time you fell out of love with something, you just kind of like walked away from it and stepped away from it. So it'll be interesting to see what pops up in your romantic aspect as well. Hey, calm down, kiddo, kiddo, kiddo. Now, I'm sorry. He was getting a little bit too rowdy. He was trying to come over here and fight me and everything. No. Um. Um. So going into your romance in regards to the constant change for B, you have children, flirt, and separation. So 4B, group 4B, sometimes you guys can be a super ultra mega flirt, and you guys have the tendency to woo people, but never really establish connection. Um, as a result of how you were raised to just freely love, freely give, and not really establish boundaries until you were an adult, not really understanding that you have the commitment is a natural part of life just as much as freedom is. No, I'm not letting you out. You're being crazy. You're being wild. No, no. So with flirt here, and it's saying extend your lighthearted energy to others. I feel like you guys may have been so carefree to the point to where in your love relationships where you were irresponsible with other people's emotions and not really setting clear boundaries on what you expected or what you could offer in a partnership or what you couldn't offer in a partnership. You weren't really clear on that, but you guys created the strong emotional connection, and then you would kind of run away from the full blown commitment. And so that's where some of that comes from. This free flowing, carefree energy of the way you were raised by your grandparents, group 4B. Group 4A, you guys need to flirt. Um, you guys need to come out of this princess attitude, this um, it's cool and it's great and amazing to know your self-worth and know who you are, but don't be such a cool customer to the point to where you miss out on who you're supposed to be with because you feel like they're not good enough for you. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, they're not good enough for you. So please correct that because you'll end up missing out on who you're supposed to be with by being like, well, you actually don't fit the black and white idea of like what my idea of a mate is. So no, because humans are complex creatures. They're not like your favorite fruit or your least favorite fruit. You know, you have obvious pros and cons of why you like your favorite fruit and why you dislike your least favorite fruit. People are not don't work that way. I'm sorry. They are beings with complex emotions and come from different backgrounds than you. And that's something that you have to take into account, you know, group 4A, you know. So give them a little bit of grace, give them some slack, you know. You don't have to feed them from your personal cup of you know, self-love, but you can bring it to where it runs over and allowing it to run over and allowing it to kind of fill up and be, you know, an overflow and attract the right people because you have the boundaries here. You know how to set boundaries with no problem. But the problem that you're having to deal with is the fact that you're being too rigid. You're not being open enough for them to finding a balance. Find balance, you know? With the children card here, it says your love life is being affected by children. So some of you, group 4A, this is for a small percentage of you, particularly the females. Some of you are wanting to conceive a child, but you cannot conceive a child because your energy is not in a receptive mode. And what I mean by that is because you live in this black and white mentality, until your mindset changes and until your heart changes, spirit is not going to allow you to produce children because you are in a state of mind where you're like, you'll even treat your kids like a black and white mentality. Like, this child is good, this child is bad, and you can't raise kids like that. And spirit's like, okay, no, you still haven't unlearned the unhealthy aspects of boundaries that you currently have. So spirit is just kind of like, I'm gonna allow you to have children, but you have to come to that awareness of you cannot expect your kids to be black and white as to how you were raised, you know. And with separation here, so for the both of you guys, for both groups, 4A and 4B here, I feel like separation, the way you guys process it in relationships, romantic relationships, is affected by how you were raised by your grandparents. 4A, when it comes to separation, you guys love that because you guys are naturally the hermit. You guys are naturally the empress. You guys have no problem with being by yourself. But in relationships where your significant other wanted you to be more chasey, wanted you to be more flirty, wanted you to be more romantic, you were just like, I don't understand that. What? What is that? And the separation that you guys experienced, the breakups that you guys have experienced because people say that you didn't show enough emotion or you didn't show that you cared or whatever, you know, it's like you guys are so comfortable with being by yourselves that when someone breaks up with you, you're like, oh, okay, bye. You know, even if they were a good relationship and you guys miss them dearly, you're like, oh, well, they wanted to break up, so whatever, bye. You know, you guys need to change that. Because usually I love seeing the Empress in a reading, but I cannot stand it right now. Like the energy that's coming from it. It's like this, impress me. Impress me or stay away from me. Impress my black and white thinking or else, I'll be fine with the separation. You can walk away. You have to please me. You have to make me happy. It's all about me. And, this princess queen attitude in a negative aspect, I cannot stand that. That energy is just kind of played out. You're never going to establish a firm connection or firm foundation by being like that. I'm sorry to tell you. For B, when you guys separate, y'all feel it in y'all's core. Like y'all are like, oh my gosh, this is happening to me right now. No, please don't leave me. No, 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 please don't leave me. And you guys get kind of clingy to a certain extent. But I also feel like some of you guys' separations, because of all these different people and things in this, I feel like some of you guys have a energy of being polyamorous, the energy of being so freely loving and being so freely giving, that whenever you guys have been in a polyamorous connection, and it was all just kind of, like you love everybody equally or whatever, the person that fell for you was like, I want you to myself. I want you to myself. I don't want you to be with anybody else. I want you to just be with me. This is a small percentage of you. I don't feel like this is like a majority of you 4B. I feel like this is like probably 15% of y'all. Probably not even that, 10%. But time apart from your partners on the horizon. So for some of you, if you guys are super like lovey-dovey all the time, you don't give your person any space at all, this can create your separation that you're dreading, that you're trying to avoid. Give them their space. Give them their space. Give your significant other their space and their time to hang out with their friends, to be around with their friends. The other portion of this 4B group that I feel here is like this energy of this energy of, come on, Spirit, you just gave it to me. It's an energy of kind of similar to 4A, being okay with the separation, but kind of leaving the door open for them too. And also I feel with this as well for another portion of you in 4B, sometimes the separation is for your best interest, but yet you keep allowing those toxic relationships back in because of the weird boundary thing that you guys did not expect, because of the healthy boundaries aspect that your grandparents in your childhood 4B that you did not learn, that you had to learn in life. So you have life purpose, in your life purpose, in your career aspect, group 4A, 4B. You have environmentalists. I'm going to go ahead and say that's 4B. You have music, also 4B, and then you have authors. So I'm going to say this is 4A. 4A, being an author. So an author is a very cerebral career for you. It is a very that's like that would be like a perfect niche for you if you aren't already in that or pursuing that. I feel like with some of you in group 4A, it says you have a book inside of you that wishes to be expressed. Make the time to write it. So remember that decluttering thing I was talking about, decluttering your schedule. Some of you have not been able to pursue being an author because of that pattern you learned from your grandparents. If you're not busy, you're not useful. If you're not busy, you're not useful in your community, you're not useful in the world, and you're not useful to yourself. So in order to be useful to yourself when it comes to being an author, you have to take time out for yourself. You have to be like, look, as much as I love you guys, I need to go work on some of my book. I need to go do something else here. I need to go do something creative, or else I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna go crazy. So with being an author here, I feel like you guys have the very strong potential. Oh, you have another one. Um, I feel like you guys, for some reason, I feel group 4A, some of you want to pursue herbalism, learning the art of herbalism, the art of horticulture. But because you lived in such a black and white collar household, you guys don't know how to navigate that or how to um, move forward with the idea of wanting to get into horticulture or herbalism. Also, with author, you could also look up authors who have books about how to get started with that. That would be a great place to start because you guys are so cerebral and so logical to the point to where you guys can finish that book in probably about like 2 days and be ready to start, on your own adventure with it. So that's another aspect of the author card that I'm getting from you guys. We have crystals here. It says your connection to crystals and gemstones is a channel for healing energy. So remember how I said earlier the Fool had like a clear quartz cluster coming from out of the ground? I feel like this is you, group 4B. And don't take offense to a group 4A. If you're interested in crystals, by all means, go for it. Go for it. I'm not restricting you guys at all. I'm just putting the cards where the energy is strongest, because you guys are such a split crew here. So you have music. It says your connection to music is healing for yourself and others. So group 4A and 4B, I feel like this connects you guys together. Music is the way in which spirit likes to communicate with all of us. Clairaudience is a very strong thing that spirit likes to try and cultivate in all of us. And music is one of the main mediums in which it likes to, in which the divine likes to communicate with us. So start listening to your favorite music and going on Pandora or your iPod or whatever medium you use to listen to your music and put it on shuffle. If it's a radio station, you don't have to worry about shuffling anything, because the songs are going to come on their own how they want to. So if you like listen to your phone from an auxiliary cord in the car or an iPod or iPad or whatever, put your music on shuffle in your music library or on Pandora or Sirius XM radio, whatever you guys listen. However you guys listen to music, put it on shuffle if you can. And the first the first song is going to be your message to you for healing for yourself and for others that are in a connection with you in this lifetime, whether it be romantic, whether it be business related, whether it be financially related, whether it be just something for yourself, even. So utilize music as a way of guiding yourself with what you need to do as far as healing and getting on a better career path for yourself. You have environmentalist. You're an earth angel who was born to protect, nurture, and teach about nature and the animals. So 4B, I feel like this is definitely your energy, but 4A, I feel like some of you want to pursue this. Some of you want to go off of, like I said, go off of the beaten path of the white collar worker that your grandparents were. You guys want to disrupt that cycle and create a different avenue in your own personal life, but you fear that because you've had such black and white teachings and black and white um, understanding of the way the world works and not trusting the world and not trusting people in the world, it's hard for you to imagine yourself being an environmentalist. It's hard for you to imagine yourself being a musician. It's hard for you to imagine yourself being into crystals or being an author or doing anything creative for that matter. And Spirit is saying it's time out for that. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. And 4B, I think it's very self-explanatory here, being that your grandparents raised you, with a hippie mindset and a hippie way of being. It's only natural that you guys want to be environmentalists and you want to protect the planet. Some of you are already environmentalists, 4B, group 4B. Some of you in this group are either already in environmentalism and you guys want to pursue something more formal like music or being an author, and they're saying you can do that. That's fine. This will just be another learning experience for you, to better understanding yourself and better understanding boundaries and even creative boundaries. So with this, I feel like with Crystal's music environmentalist and author, both groups, both of you have the ability to do these things. It's just unlearning certain attributes from your childhood, being raised by your these two different sets of grandparents, and taking the healthy aspects of your childhood and incorporating them, and taking the unhealthy aspects out of your future vision, your future dreams and pursuits you have in life. So your spirit messages, you have I am as God created me. On the back it says, in you is all of heaven. Every leaf that falls is given life in you. Each bird that ever sang will sing again in you, and every flower that ever bloomed has saved its perfume and its loveliness for you. So Spirit is basically saying you are one with everything, Group 4A and 4B. You are one with this world. You are one with creating the amazing things that Spirit has for you. And in order for you to get to that point, in order for you to get to that understanding, you have to allow yourself to be seen outside of, oh, I need to think black and white. I think this is more so a challenge for you, Group 4A, is enjoying the complexities of life and enjoying the color in life, instead of looking at it from, well, this is a tomato and that's all it'll ever be, you know. Um, of course, a tomato is a tomato, but do you see how the beautiful, vibrant red of it, you know, drew you? Do you taste and feel the juiciness coming from it whenever you bite into it? Do you like how it flavors your food? How does it flavor your food? How does it create different textures for your food? But no, you guys are, oh, this is a tomato, and you just like put it down and whatever. You slice it, you eat it, you don't really savor the taste, you don't really enjoy the texture of it, you don't really stop and slow down and really just enjoy the experience of the tomato. So, Spirit is saying, you know, with that card, you know, view your life as one giant tomato, opening it up piece by piece, slicing it open piece by piece, tasting the juiciness and feeling the texture moving around your mouth as you're chewing it, and admiring the redness and the ripeness of it before tasting it. You know, really taking the beauty that surrounds you. Group 4B, I think this is just a lesson in you guys like keeping gratitude for the fact that you were raised the way that you were, with such a carefree, open mindset, because you guys, although you guys had to sacrifice some things to learn what boundaries were, but learning the boundaries was for your protection. Because you're so open and loving and giving, like I said, you guys have the potential to attract energy vampires and narcissists who would take you out of your identity of knowing who you are as God created you. The next card, it says, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. It says, your holiness reverses all the laws of the world. It is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. This is a 4A. This is a 4A reality check here from Spirit. Your holiness reverses all the laws of the world. It is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. Get out of your shell, 4A. Get out of the shields. This is why you also have protection guardians saying, drop your shields. How can you experience the fullness of life and the blessings of life and the amazingness of life if you aren't even open to the healing information that Spirit, if you aren't even open to the healing information that Spirit is trying to offer you in regards to your heart, in regards to your finances, in regards to your career? like I said, you are a spiritual being having a physical experience in this 3D plane. And you can't have structure all the time without knowing what fun is. You have to have a duality. You have to have a balance in order to experience life in its fullness. Stop restricting yourself. Stop isolating yourself. Stop deeming yourself as too good for people, for situations, because it wasn't exactly what your grandparents exemplified. Stop holding people to this super high standard. Lower your standard. Like, lower your standard in the sense of like lowering your shield. Because they called a shield a standard in medieval times. So that's what I'm talking about, lowering your standard. I'm not saying lower your standard as in like, um, allowing someone to devalue you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying lower your standard as in like the actual shield, and lower it down and put it away. And come out and play. That rhymed. So, specific things you can do to like heal. Holy Mazda Miata. You have Twin Flame. It says, the answer to your question involves a spiritually based romantic relationship. Now, I have my own thoughts about that, but we're just going to go with what the card is saying for right now in regards to the spiritually based romantic relationship aspect. So this is collective group 4 right here. Some of you are twin flames to somebody, and that you're in current, which is why you also have the separation card right here. Some of you are in separation from your twin flames. And the reason why you're in separation is because of some of the stuff that you guys learned or did not learn from your grandparents. So really pay attention to this reading. If you're getting to this part of the reading and you feel like, well, what was it that I needed to learn or understand again, in order to heal my connection with my twin flame? If some of you are trying to manifest a twin flame relationship, you haven't met your twin flame, or you've met your twin flame, you guys are in separation. Look at the dynamics of what you learned from your grandparents. And that'll help you begin the process of building the bridge to heal that separation period. You also have the parents card. So I feel like for both groups this could apply to, in the sense of, because your grandparents were raising you, obviously your parents either were not physically present, meaning that they were deceased and they weren't physically able to be with you, or something circumstantial happened for them to not be in your life, like such as drug addiction or alcoholism, or they just, decided that they did not want to be parents. But it says at the bottom of the card, the divine truth is that your parents eternally love you to the best of their ability. The angels are helping you heal from any pain associated with your mother or father. I'm also getting another part of group 4 here, is that your parents wanted you. They wanted to raise you, but they didn't have the financial means or the emotional capacity or the physical capacity to raise you. So some of your parents could have been badly injured in a car wreck, and they just did not have the means with which to raise you with. They didn't have the resources with which to raise you. Goodness, I'm sorry. And they just want you, your parents just want you to know that they love you. They do love you very dearly. And, the divine truth at the end of the day is that your parents do love you. But it's just that the way in which you needed to be loved, that they may not have been able, they knew that they probably were not able to offer you, especially the ones that had addiction issues, that had issues with domestic abuse, that had issues with lack within themselves, in whatever shape, form, or capacity. And they didn't want you to be around that energy. So them sending you to live with your grandparents was a form of protection for you from them, unfortunately. I hate to put it that way, so that way you could be raised in the best way possible. So whatever reason it is that your biological parents who gave birth to you were not able to be present in your life as an adolescent or as a child or in your adulthood, forgive them. Forgive your parents, forgive your grandparents, because another aspect I'm getting to, another scenario I'm getting is that your grandparents fought for custody against your parents because of unhealthy things and unhealthy behaviors your grandparents were witnessing that your parents were doing within the home that you shared with them, that you weren't aware of, and they never really spoke about it in your adulthood. So if you don't know your parents, ask your grandparents about them and ask them to be honest with you. Demand that they be honest with you about why you could never have a connection with your parents, why they have that, why that void is there with your parents the way that it is. If you guys have found your parents, via Facebook or any form of social media or white pages or whatever, and you want to reach out to them and call them and talk to them and ask them why, your grandparents end up raising you, versus them, do that. If you feel like you need answers or you feel like you want answers, Spirit is saying, pursue it. Pursue getting the divine truth out of your parents. If they are both alive, that is. I mean, even if they are passed away, like I said in the other piles, you can still do meditations to safely connect with the other side, to access them. So the last three cards I have for you are the final advice from the Good Vibes Oracle. You have listen with your heart, feel with your mind. This is for you for A and for you for B. So feeling with your mind 4B is more so where the boundaries come in to help you. So that way you don't feel like you're being taken advantage of and constantly being asked to give. Also with you for A, I feel like listen with your heart, feel with your mind, getting off of that high horse of feeling like I need to protect myself at all times. I'm not going to be open unless you really impress me. Get out of that energy. You can feel with your mind but listen with your heart. What is your heart telling you to do? Versus what your mind is saying for you to do. There's that energy with the card that I'm feeling like that's all that I have with that. The next one you have, be grateful in every moment. Holding no resentment against either group, either subgroups. For A, be grateful you were raised in a safe home. Or be grateful you were raised in a home that was free-flowing and carefree, because it's allowed you to be able to be so creative and walk through life with such openness like never before. You are the part of the group that's missing a lot in this world. So what you learn from your grandparents, 4B, is very critical that some people struggle with, like 4A, unfortunately. 4A, be grateful that you were raised in a safe home. Some people cannot even say that their grandparents, can't even tell you if their grandparents loved them or not because they were never present or they didn't care or whatever. The last card, it says, there is no such thing as time. There is no such thing as time. 4B, I feel like this card applies to you in the sense that you guys spent so much time being carefree, and now you guys feel like you're under limited time to correct any mistakes you've made in life, to correct anything that kind of went out of control, but everything has its divine purpose. In the spirit world, time does not exist. We created time over here as a means to try and understand the world around us, but that's literally all it is, to try and understand the world around us. But really and truly, there is no such thing as time in that part of the world, in that side of living. There are different dimensions, but as far as time, no. Time is definitely not a linear thing over there. And with you, there is no such thing as time for A. Stop thinking that you have to meet every goal at a specific on a specific date, time of the calendar year, okay? Because sometimes spirit will bring in interrupters and bring divine interventions whenever you're going down a self-destructive path of trying to be perfect, of trying to manage everything, and thereby stressing yourself out, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and those you love around you as well. So with this, there is no such thing as time in the sense that you're going at it. You're saying there's not enough time in the world to get everything that need to get done. Sometimes spirit wants you to declutter your schedule. Whenever that declutter card said declutter your schedule too, that means sometimes spirit wants you to act as if time does not even exist. Get done what you can in a day. Rome was not built in a day. It's okay if you don't get one or two things on your list accomplished. It's okay if you don't get half of your list accomplished. What you needed to get done in that day, you got done in that day. And if you did nothing, that's what you were supposed to do divinely. You were supposed to be and do nothing in that day and in that time frame. So that's my final thoughts for you guys, group 4. I do hope that this reading helped you, that you receive it with an open heart and an open ear and an open mind. And I wish you many blessings on your journey to manifesting your true blessings. Have a good night.